Okay, y'all are getting me while I'm cooking breakfast. We, um, I was able to go to trial last week, and the jury saw fit to award my client 1.6 and change $1 million. And the question I've gotten since then is, "Are you excited? How thrilled are you?" And it's a weird thing because thrilled isn't the word. Without going into all of her details, my client was significantly hurt. I routinely tell people when they ask about television or whatnot, what about $1 million? Can I get $1 million? And I always tell them, like, when you see those TV ads and there's somebody, first of all, that's an actor. Anybody that gets $1 million, no such thing as free money. They're hurt for the rest of their lives, or they die early. Unfortunately, my client's one of those people. She's going to be hurting for the rest of her life. So the first thing I felt when I heard the verdict, my client squeezed my hand. She kind of burst into tears. I didn't feel excited. I felt a wave of exhaustion hit me. And the amount of stress, not sleeping, really cramming as hard as I possibly could for this trial, really kind of switch hands so I can stir the grits, really kind of washed over me, I thought. But as I looked at her, we stood up and as the jury left the room, and then I just looked at her, looked down at her, and she looked at me, and I said, this is validation for the past 6.5 years of what you've been dealing with. And she said, validation, that's exactly it. Now, that's when I realized that it wasn't exhaustion per se. And I was exhausted, so exhausted for sure, but it was relief. And it was relief that I'd been able to do what I needed to do for her. I'm going to get paid at the end of this. Let's not bury the lead. I know that's what people mean about being excited. And yes, that's going to be extraordinarily helpful for me. But, this woman was in a real bind. And if I hadn't gotten that, let's say, the defense, there's just so many ways to talk about this. And I know I'm babbling, but you can stop watching if you don't like it. Most personal injury lawyers, plaintiff lawyers like me, don't go to trial in the first place. This will be my 4th trial in 8 years since I opened the practice, which I don't know what that sounds like to you. In my mind, if I weren't a lawyer, I think that's not very much. I actually go to trial more often than many, many lawyers. At the big firms, the national firms or the biggest firms in your state, most of those lawyers never go to the courtroom. There are cases that need to go to trial. They refer out to attorneys that will take it to trial. So I'm already in I think, a fairly small group of injury attorneys who will actually try a case. And then out of those, it's an even much, much smaller number of people who've ever gotten over a 7-figure verdict. Now, last year, my cousin and I were able to land a multi-million-dollar settlement, and that's rare, but as rare as it is to get a settlement that high, it's even more rare to get a verdict. So, am I going to sit here and crow about I'm amazing? I just have too much awareness. If I wanted to BS you and tell you I'm just the greatest thing that's ever happened, I guess I could do that, but people that actually know would just think I were a moron. Because everything I did in that trial, the only thing I can control was putting forward the best trial on my end that I could possibly do. I can't even control the defense attorneys. Now, a lot of what they decided to do really, really helped out getting us into the right position. I think we got, their first offer, which was at mediation after we filed suit. They didn't even make an offer before we filed suit. Was $80,000. So we got 20 times the first offer. And then their last offer before trial was $400,000. We got 4 times that. Now the problem is, I can't control a jury. This jury understood what I was doing, and they agreed with me. A break here or there, and the different jury listens to the defense lawyer, hands my client $50,000 to $150,000, and it's utter catastrophe. Nothing I did on my end changed, but catastrophe. I'm not taking an attorney fee. I invested $35,000 to $50,000 of my own money to get the case to trial, which is there's nothing unseemly about that. That's what we do. You know, I always tell people when I walk in a courtroom, I know I'm right because I'm investing my money into the case. I'm not taking a case that requires that kind of investment unless I believe my client. So anyway, I would have had to waive repayment. My client who needs all this medical care, sorry, stirring things, it just would have been an utter disaster to win $150,000. And again, the first offer was nothing, and that would have, 150 would have still been better than their first offer of 80. So I could have done that, so it could have broken the other way, and that's completely out of my control. The other thing, I got my client $1.6 million. Maybe there's an attorney who could have set it up even better than me and really connected with that jury, and we're talking about a $16 million verdict. Well, then that certainly wouldn't look good for me that I only got 1.6 and it was somebody could have gotten 16 million. So I just can't know. What I know is I put together and put forward the best, in my mind, the best possible case I could have put forward to that jury. Was it perfect? Nobody's perfect. And it's not that I don't strive to do the absolute best I can. I think that the perfect is the enemy of the good, that you can get so caught up on trying to go for perfection that you really do a lot worse than if you just really trying to, do a great job, but not a perfect job. I'm relieved. And if you want to know about excitement's going to be when the money comes in and I get to hand my client her proceeds from this. And it's going to be bittersweet because she is going to be hurt the rest of her life. But at least she knows that there's a path forward. And it's a path forward that was not there unless we had done that. And then, paying off my mortgage, it will be very exciting as well. Let's be honest. Okay, so that's what it feels like when you get a very large verdict.